Hi guys, and hello from the hilltop. This is the Plateau Perfectionist, and this is my setting up of my new bullet journal. Hopefully you can tell by the cover, but I bought a Tekukor, and I got the olive green color because sadly they were out of the navy. I am a blue person through and through, and I figured I'd go with the olive green instead of the red. I'm just not a red person. Not to mention I like the leaves. So as you could probably tell from my title page just a second ago, I cannot do scripts to save my bacon. So I went ahead and just cheated and went with some lovely quotes that I just pulled off of a Happy Planner book that I happen to have. And speaking of cheating, here is my lovely key, which I went and did on a little sticky note that I had, and I liked the really pretty green color. It added a nice little pop of color. Not only that, but if I ever decide to change anything on my key, I can just peel that sucker off and replace it with a different one. As you could probably tell from my key, I do a lot more color coding than I do like marking things and migrating things, etc., etc. And not only that, but one of the big differences that I do in compared to what a lot of bullet journalers do is that I like to cross out things as completed instead of canceled, just because I find something so satisfying with just crossing something off my list when I'm done with it. And when I cancel something, I like scribble it out, so it's not nearly as pretty, but whatever. I also do asterisks for tasks and just little dots for note type things because that's primarily what I use my bullet journal for. I have two different journals, as you've probably seen from my stuff. I have my bullet journal, which I do everything in, and then I have my simple elephant planner, which is where I do some memory planning so I can kind of get my scrapbooking fix in. And so my bullet journal is a lot more messy. I can not only put tasks down, but I can also put little personal notes about how my day is going, things I've done, and it really helps for when I need to put tasks down for my memory planning. So here's my index. It's really, really simple. All of the black lettering and writing stuff is being done with a basic Sharpie pen. It's one of those pen brands, so it doesn't bleed through the pages, although if it managed to bleed through 160 GSM paper, I'd be very surprised. The other markers that I'm using are zebra mild liners. Excuse me. I ended up using 3 colors for my startup pages here. They are the steely gray, they are a darker blue, and then I ended up using a teal color, and these were part of one of those 16 packs I bought at Walmart, ironically enough. And they're still at Walmart, so if you ever get a chance, you can go get the 16 pack instead of buying the little 5 packs. And I personally think it's a better bang for your buck. Now, my only irritation with it is that I actually want to get some for my office. The problem is they come in packs of 5, and usually the number of colors that I use for color coding is 6, because I like to use purple. And have you ever noticed that it is incredibly hard to find just one purple highlighter? The only purple highlighter that I can find sold individually is the Sharpie brand, and they want like $4, not including shipping, just for that marker. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna have it. Alright, on to the year at a glance. Sorry for the rant. So I actually use my year at a glance for a lot of stuff. It's not just for birthdays or anything like that. I mark down paydays. I mark down important events. I mark down holidays, as well as holidays where our office is closed. I mark down anything and everything that I can on the year at a glance because I'm one of those that I like to plan in advance. So I wanted to give myself a fair amount of space for each month. So I ended up only putting 4 months per page, and I ended up doing 3 pages worth of months. So there is technically a full year's worth, even though technically I am starting with March. So this page went from March 2020 to June 2020. The next page was July to October, and then the following page was December until February 2021. And as you can see, writing in numbers is extremely tedious. I refuse to go down the rabbit hole and get stamps and all of that goodness. So I honestly don't find it nearly as tedious as some people do, writing in all those numbers, and I'm one of the people that kind of find it weirdly therapeutic. But again, I kept with the 3 colors and went with the gray mild liner to have that separating line, the blue mild liner to color in the days of the week, and then the teal for the months and year. It doesn't really look like it on this particular camera, but it is a really pretty teal color. So yeah, see, 3 pages. Told you. Crazy people don't believe me. And lots of room to write in all my stuff. And I don't know if you can see it, but I only messed up once. Look at that little bit. I lucked out that I only messed up once. All right, on to my goals page. So this is my page for my goals for 2020. I quite literally just copied this out of my other bullet journal. I do surprisingly refer to this page more often than not, mostly because I am a goal-oriented person, and I ended up having 8 different topics for this page, 8 different types of goals. Finance, home, spiritual growth, because I am a spiritual person, personal development, career, self-care or health, family and friends, and then fun and recreation. And while I didn't actually take the time and fill this particular page out, just because I wanted to kind of get the setup stuff done and recorded, and so I could, have less to edit and all that good stuff. But like, for example, some of my finances have to deal with getting my student loans paid off. I have some reading that I want to get done for my spiritual growth, and then see some family and friends for the holidays, things like that. So this is something that I have about 3 to 4 items per each of these boxes, which once I'm done writing them out and drawing them out, I end up going back and highlighting them, coloring them, giving them some lovely drop shadows, because you can't have boxes without drop shadows. And I put, for this particular page, another thing that I do later on when I actually fill this page out is I do little bubble circles. So as I complete an item on my goals page, I can just bubble in that circle. So at the end of the year, I can see how many of these actual goals I managed to get finished. It's just something personal that I like to do. Like I said, I'm a goal-oriented person. And, yeah, fun recreation. So, sorry. I feel like I have something stuck in my throat. You ever have one of those days? I think it happens the more I talk. So yeah, here I am just taking my mild liners and coloring in each box. I try to keep them relatively random, but the color's not necessarily touching. On my other one, for my other bullet journal, I ended up going with a blue, green, and yellow theme. And while I liked that for my other bullet journal, I thought the cool colors would be a little more soothing and neutral. I don't know. I was just thinking my bullet journal main pages should be more of a neutral instead of just like a crazy pants person colors like I did in my other bullet journal. So yeah. Now for my March spreads, I actually already have those filmed, and I still have to edit and get those posted. Hopefully I can get those posted within this week. Y'all are in for a treat. I will have 2 videos out this week. Oh. And for my March ones, which you won't see in this because I filmed them at 2 different occasions, I ended up going with a minimalist March, and coincidentally, I have been watching some other people's March setups that have already come out, and I guess they mentally knew what I was doing because they've totally copied my ideas. of like going minimalist for March. So I guess I'm just not that original. Alrighty, I think this page is done. Can we go ahead and move on, please? Person? Yeah, alright, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so there's a little story here. As you can see, there was a bit of a cut. What happened is, actually, the pages after that was a savings tracker and a student loan tracker. However, I totally messed up on my student loan tracker and ended up having to do it on a separate page and then insert it later. So when I go back to, later on in the video, I will go back to them and you'll see the student loan page is already done. That's because I did not even want to show you how badly I messed up on it. There was whiteout everywhere. The modeliners didn't want to color on the whiteout. It looked not just ugly, but fugly ugly. So I went ahead and just kind of jumped up to the other pages. So this is a page for my password list. I have noticed recently that despite the loveliness that is Google that saves all of my passwords, I sometimes forget what a username or password is for something, depending on if I'm on my phone, if I'm on my home computer, or if I'm on my work computer. And I try not to save my passwords and things on my work computer just because it's a work computer. So it's good to just have a hard copy, and since this thing is going to be with me just about everywhere I go, I might as well just write them all down. Now, when I did write these down in my bullet journal, I ended up writing them in code. So even if someone were to ever steal my bullet journal or it get lost, you wouldn't be able to figure out what my passwords were. But yeah, so this was my password list, and I also ended up coincidentally, I ended up filling up that whole page with accounts and usernames and passwords. So apparently I have a lot. Okay, this was something new. So recently I have started to get into crystals. I just enjoy crystals. I think there's a little bit of science behind it because crystals are essentially minerals and geodes and things like that. And they are, they have physics behind them. Some do resonate at different frequencies depending on what their chemical makeup is. So I think there is some science to it. Like, for example, personally, every day I wear a shungite pendant just because, one, it's a natural water purificant, so if I ever got like bad water, I can put it in there. And then two, it also helps block against EMF radiation. So that's one reason I personally wear it on my person all the time. But at the same time, I've also been doing some research into some alternative stones, obsidian, onyx, numite, iolite, agate, etc. And I also do a lot of meditation work and all that good things. So it's a random page that's just for me, that I can write down that kind of information. I can write down what chakra it's supposedly affiliated with, and a little bit of information of what it supposedly does, and just kind of enjoy myself that way. So like I said, and then of course I did the little dotted line and all that good stuff, and then moved back to the page that I totally and royally screwed up. So as you can see, I have 12 boxes here on my student loans goal page. My student loans are actually a lot more than $9,000, but that's how much I'm going to be paying off this year. I am one of those people, I like to break it down. Instead of paying a big monthly payment, I do it by week. I call my student loan company every single Monday and I pay them an allotted amount, and I like to see that progress. It keeps me grounded on how much I have paid already, how much I need to pay for the month, and it breaks down better on my paychecks. It's just how I personally budget. And then the same thing goes for my saving goals. So I actually have 4 different savings goals. one of which is ICE, which is an in case of emergency account. I have a basic savings account because while I prefer the debt avalanche to the debt snowball, I have read into Dave Ramsey's, and I firmly believe that a savings account with an emergency $1,000 is always a good thing to have. And then I also have 2 different trips that I am planning this particular year. I will be going to a comic book convention for my birthday, for Mother's Day, and then I also plan to go down south to the Houston area to go see family for Christmas. So I am saving up for those 2 trips. And then of course I have my basic bills. These bills that are listed on my savings page here, they are my fixed bills. So they're things like my charity water, they're for my Hulu, Disney Plus, etc., things like that. Subscription type bills. And then I have since I have my student loan goals page there, I didn't have to put it on my other page. And you can see, this is my attempt at fancy script. It's not very good, but you won't see it on the video, but I did end up going back and coloring these a little bit. I kept with the 3 colors, but I was getting tired. It was very late, and I didn't end up coloring these like I should. Oh, another thing is, so these rulers that I got, they are by a company called BBF. I bought them on Amazon. I was looking for a set of rulers that had stencils, and there's 3 different rulers that come in this kit. One has circles, one has triangles, and one has squares. And I actually do like them, except for one small problem. They don't come in inches. They only come in metric. And which is not a bad thing. Like I said, I'm using them mostly to keep my lines straight. But if you are an American, like I am, and we use the standard system, it's a little inconvenient from time to time. So I'm going to have to get me I'm going to steal a ruler for something for work that has the inches on it, just so I can have one. Alright, so here we have the final flip through of my lovely Tekukor. As you can see, there's my lovely stickers, and my Plateau Perfectionist. There's my index all filled out. I used the perfect amount of lines. That was not planned, but that's how that happened. So there's my first 2 pages of my year at a glance, followed by my 3rd page and my page for goals. I was actually very happy with how that came out. My savings goals, student loan goals, and then of course my password list and my Christmas list. So, alright guys, I want to thank you for watching my video. I would really appreciate a like, subscribe, comments are always appreciated, and as always you can find me on Instagram at the Plateau Perfectionist with underscores in between each word, on Facebook by the same name minus the underscores, and of course my website theplateauperfectionist.com, where I try to put up at least a blog a month, whether it be about bullet journaling, organizing, or anything else that comes to mind.